So Anna, can you please tell me what kind of updates and improvements have been added to data sync?
Sure, Jan. So at our last community event, we reviewed how simple it was to connect an app account to HubSpot and to set up contact sync for one of our most popular apps, Google Contacts. I had also mentioned some of the constructive feedback that we were getting from customers as a result of our initial release back in April. So the highlights of the feedback were customers wanted to sync more data types, so besides contacts. And to that end, our team has released Company Sync. Woo! Customers can now sync company data for over 30 apps. Additionally, another piece of feedback was that customers wanted to sync data into HubSpot from multiple third-party accounts. So to help with this, our team has released multi-account sync. A number of customers also remarked that they lacked feedback about whether the sync was working, what was happening once they had turned it on and activated it. So our first step towards providing more insights there into the workings of the sync is the sync status. So without further ado, I'll hand it over to Franz, our sync and go-to-market aficionado, to do the demo on those three features.
Right, there's my screen. I'm basically going to be showing those three different features by setting up a company sync. We'll see a little bit of everything. There's a lot of folks new to data sync here, so you'll basically get your taste of those three features, but also just a general taste of what data sync is. Here's something very important to note. I'm doing a data sync demo here, and I'm using the app Copper. Copper is a CRM. That's all you need to know. If you don't know Copper, it doesn't matter. I could just as easily be using Dynamics, NetSuite, ActiveCampaign. All of these apps are basically, if you look at the data sync front-end screens, they're going to be the same. That's the genius thing about data sync. From a product perspective, we have this central data sync engine, which is really like built on a domain-specific language to sync any SaaS app with one another. It's just one sync engine. That's at the heart of data sync. Then what we're using here as an end user is a front end. And that front end is basically just generated automatically on the fly on the basis of API definitions. So whether I'm using Copper, Dynamics, NetSuite, these screens, and as I like show what data sync looks like, just mentally swap out Copper, replace it with your favorite app, and you'll be just fine. So we are going to be demoing Company Sync, which is now a new type of sync. We're going to be demoing sync status, and we're going to be showing you multi-account sync. Let's have already a first look at what this sync status does here. This is a new object sitting right on top of my data sync app. It's currently saying that it's active and listening, and that's most of the time it's going to be the idle state of any data sync app. Active and listening, meaning I've got a contacts sync and a companies sync with my Copper CRM going on. And it's basically just listening for changes. If something were to happen within HubSpot right now, a change to a contact or a change to a company record, that's going to immediately go spring into action. If something were to happen on the Copper side of things, it would take up a maximum of 5 minutes for that change to register. And this would then move into another status. There's some different statuses there. It could be active and listening as soon as a change is being detected. And why not actually, let's just make a change to see that in action, right? So here I've got a couple of companies in my CRM. Let's call this by the Italian spelling of Torino. Let's see what that does. As you can see, I make like just the minor change. It's gonna immediately move the sync into either into a temporary queue or in a progress. It's gonna be going into progress mode. We're basically now giving you a real-time view as to like, where is this sync at? If you were to just set up a new sync, you'll also be seeing like how many records have been scanned by this time, as well as like, yeah, just knowing when a sync is queued is pretty important. If you have like multiple data sync apps running at the same time, well, they're all hammering the same HubSpot database, right? So we will tackle one data sync app at a time. So when you see, for instance, company sync is queued, it means there's an other app that I have running, which is taking that sync first before it's going to tackle this one. And as you can see now, it's again to active and listening, meaning that that change that I've made to this company record has actually then also been syncing over to the other side. So let's dive in deeper as to like what data sync actually looks like. How would you go about setting this up? So I've already gone ahead and set up a company to company sync. I've kept it rather simple. As a matter of fact, I've got my list of companies here, just 12 records, and I've got my 12 companies right here. Actually, one more because I just created one here as a test. Let's dive into the settings so you guys can have a feel as to what you have control over. Now, in our previous webinar, we actually showed contact sync, and contact sync and company sync are basically following the same pattern. You've got the selection on which records sync and a field mappings screen. Now, choosing which records to sync, I just basically YOLO'd and decided that all companies could sync. Of course, if you have plenty of company records on both sides, it may be wise to set up some degree of filtering, especially if this is the first sync you're ever going to be setting up. I would recommend setting up some filters. Like on the HubSpot side, you filter on the basis of a list. That could be a static list, it could be an active list. You create those lists as part of working with HubSpot anyway. So you can just point towards a list. Or if you decide, you know what, actually don't care about my HubSpot companies going into Copper at all, you can just make it a one-way sync like that. In my case, I'm happy with all of these companies syncing. On the Copper side, we're pulling down like all of the possible filters, like properties that you can set up a filter on. So you could potentially set up a filter on only synchronizing over the current customers. Now, heads up, I know that maybe sometimes you wish not to only sync the current customers, but you also want to sync over the past customers. And then additionally, you want to sync over the customers that were owned by Mark, but are now part of this region, etc. That is not possible. But what you could do is basically set up a simple sync like where this checkbox, which I've created in my Copper, which you could be creating in any type of CRM, just like delete, don't burden the logic of the sync filter too much. Just keep it easy with a checkbox. That's possible as well. Basically, this is determining what records you want to have in scope of the sync. And of course, it's possible that prior to turning on a sync, you may have some records already sitting on both sides. If, as a matter of fact, that's very much the case here, where I have records sitting on both sides of the sync. So what would happen if I turn on this sync? How does HubSpot know that this Juventus record, company record, is the same in my Copper? Like with contacts, we match on email. However, with a company, we will actually match on either the company name, or we could be looking at what is in HubSpot called the company domain name. In the other app, it could be called somewhat differently. In fact, in Copper, it is called the email domain. So if we're finding that records are actually matching on either company name or on that, in this case, email domain, we'll also be matching on that. Matching is important. It means we're going to be basically pairing those up in the sync engine rather than the opposite. If we don't find a match, we're going to be creating company records on both sides of the sync. So it's very important to know how that works before you just set up this company sync. Now, either way, you'll care about field mappings, which is going to outline what data exactly is part of the sync. So you start off with the default field mappings, which covers a bunch of the normal contact details that belong to any company. And you could be, of course, in the operations of starter tier, you could be adding more field mappings, setting those up as well. Like you can select a company, there's a custom field text that I create. You could be matching that with another custom text field property that you create. There's in fact on the knowledge base article of data sync, you can find exactly which properties are syncable with one another. Then, as with any sync, you can review the settings and know that it will do an initial import, and then it just does this continuous sync. Let me, in fact, go ahead and start up this sync, because I want to point something out here. Here's my sync status moving into sync in progress. I want to point something out, which is actually fairly important when you look at company sync settings, which is, and I'm going to jump into the contact sync settings, because what we released in addition to company syncing is a field mapping of associations. So the relationships between a contact and a company. And what that means is, well, basically, if you look at my contact records, for every contact, they could be part of a company. In fact, HubSpot makes a lot of these associations automatically. And what is new and what is pretty special around our sync app here is that we're able to also sync across those associations and keep them in sync bidirectionally. I think that's pretty mind-blowing. I have not seen that in any other sync solution. So here's actually a blatant error for those soccer fans. We all know that Lionel Messi no longer is with FC Barcelona, but in fact has moved over to a Paris football club. So let's make that change. And whilst this basically just looks like me changing a text property, technically it isn't. Technically, I'm really pointing towards an entirely different object in my database, which in turn is another database record in my other app. So the fact that DataSync is able to keep up with those associations across different applications is pretty mind-blowing. Let's have a look at whether this change has been picked up. As you can see, the contact person and the company sync has been picked up. So in a while, we'll actually be seeing, if I go over to people, it may take a couple of minutes to register. But so what we're expecting to see is that Lionel Messi will be moving over into Paris Saint-Germain as he's supposed to. Like if you're trying to do this with an app like Zapier, or it's downright impossible. I'm happy to be proven wrong on that. Let's see if the change picked up. Oh, say there you see the change has been picked up. So this Paris Saint-Germain, it's not a simple piece of text, right? It's this other object which we can find in company. So, I mean, I work obviously inside of the product, but I'm mightily impressed with how this works. Now, final thing that I do want to quickly point out is this thing called multi-account syncing. Now, here in my Copper app, imagine we've just merged with another company that happens to also use Copper. They have a different login. Well, in that case, I could just be connecting another Copper account. I would basically be asked to log in to that other Copper account. Why would I do that? Well, basically to have everything in one place. It's probably more common with an app like Outlook, where you want to have not just your company email hooked up, but also your personal emails locked, like syncing in some contacts. ActiveCampaign is a very common app used by marketing agencies. So if I'm using the much more awesome CRM to keep the oversight of like all of my my clients, that some of which happen to be using ActiveCampaign as a marketing automation solution, I could be pooling together my different clients' accesses inside of Operations Hub. ConnectWise, it's like a professional services automation tool. Very often you start off with a staging environment. Well, set up a sync with a staging environment. As you feel it's comfortable, there you go ahead and connect your actual production account. Microsoft Dynamics, same spiel. You would often have like a production environment alongside a sandbox environment. You probably want to connect multiple of those, like test in a test bed. You may have like a EU as opposed to a US region, like various use cases to be connecting different accounts. As soon as an account is connected, this basically gives you the possibility to remove that account should you no longer need it. That's those three features. Hopefully that made a bunch of sense to the audience. What do you think, Jan?
I think that looks awesome. Like the passion you have for data sync is just amazing. One thing that you mentioned at the end is all the apps, of course, available. So that's one question I wanted to ask. Like we support around 60 apps, I think you said. Like where can people find those apps? Yeah, which apps have been added in the recent months?
You can always go to the marketplace. We have a specific collection that groups all of the data sync apps here. If you want to keep up, there's in fact this link, which is interesting. It's like a product updates link. You search for data sync. You also see like as long as like when we do some updates, you'll find them here. Like over the last couple of months, we've launched like 20 new apps. Most of them will remember them as like apps that we offered as part of our PySync solution back in the day, but not all of them. Like one I'd like to call out is Smartsheet, sort of like an Airtable-esque Google Sheet type app where we now allow like two-way syncing with. Like really like apps with lots of flexibility. Coming up is apps like Weeklap, Current RMS, Chargify is another like new app which we didn't offer in PySync either. Yeah,
that's pretty awesome. So yeah, you discussed like multi-account syncing, company syncing, associations, all pretty amazing. I'd also like to look a bit, towards the future, like what kind of updates do you see coming in the coming months? I think a lot of people here, I saw in the chat, some people are anxious to see what's next.
I can take that one. So picking up from the customer feedback that I highlighted earlier, and we had Tyler also asking about this in the chat just a few minutes ago. So we have a few things upcoming, and I'll get to demo a couple of them as well. So one thing that we did hear from customers is that they want more field type mappings to be supported. We totally hear this, and we're working on this. One of the first mappings that we're going to prioritize and release just in the upcoming months is the owner field. So associated owner information helps your sales team focus on the customers they are uniquely responsible for. So keeping that in sync between your connected systems is critical to ensure alignment, focus, as well as attribution. So we plan to make this mapping available as a default mapping to all customers. Next, let's talk about more objects. So customers want to sync more of their business data with HubSpot, correct? As customers look to centralize their data in HubSpot, they're looking to bring deal data into HubSpot in addition to contact and company data. So whether you're just looking to have everything deal related in one place, to improve your follow-up and nurturing, to make your marketing more relevant, for instance, by marketing differently to customers with or without deals, to identify whether a deal is getting stuck in a certain stage, to attribute revenue, to understand how your sales team is performing, you name it. None of this can be successfully achieved without deal data in HubSpot. So to that end, the Operations Hub Data Sync team is making this possible by building Deal Sync. I'm going to show you a prototype now. This is not working software. That's my disclaimer. As always, I must state that the details and the timelines could shift, subject to change as implementation moves forward. But generally, I wanted to give you guys a peek into potentials of what it's going to look like and the kinds of features it's going to include. So just a moment there. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so my obligatory legal note here and disclaimer, and let's jump right in. So if you're a HubSpot user and you're inside the HubSpot app, and you can navigate to the connected apps page here from the marketplace icon, hit connected apps. So this is just a sampling, as I had indicated earlier. And let's take the Microsoft Dynamics as an example. It is one of the apps that we are going to release for Deal Sync. So here we are in that settings page for Microsoft Dynamics. I hope everyone can see okay. Yes. You see the sync status that Franz demoed earlier. And I've got a couple of syncs set up here. I've got contact and lead sync that are on and active, but I need more. So we're going to hit sync more data. And when this thing's released, you're going to see the deal sync option there. And then we're going to get into setup. So deal sync has a lot of similarities with the other objects, but there are some small differences. So the first thing, of course, is the decision around whether you want your data to sync in one direction from, you're more thinking of it as an import and you want, Microsoft Dynamics as your source and you want to pull that data into HubSpot, or if you want that data to be exchanged going back and forth. So that decision is made fairly easily just by kind of flipping a switch here essentially and choosing the right direction. We're just going to stick to the two-way sync scenario, but essentially the settings are all going to be available in the same way. So the thing that's different about deals is that everything is about your pipeline, or everything is about your sales process. So one of the things we want to have you do is we need you to align your sales processes in the two apps so that we know how to read those records that are coming in and where to place them in either app. So the first thing we'll do is we'll have you select your HubSpot pipeline. So we're pulling all of this out of your HubSpot setup. So let's just pull in the sales pipeline. And we're going to automatically pull in everything that lives beneath that pipeline. So in my case, I have these 4 sales stages, 4 pipeline deal stages. They're pulling right out of HubSpot. But now we have, what about the other end, right? We've got Microsoft Dynamics and there may be some another sales process there. So we've got to map those up to ensure that we know exactly how to pass that data along. And we have some fun functionality here for you. You can select the auto map feature, which we will auto magically attempt to peek into your database and Dynamics or whatever app we are talking about and populate that for you if we find matching deal stages. So yeah, this is pretty exciting. We had a lot of customers getting pretty excited about this particular feature. But by the same token, if something doesn't look right and we didn't create the match properly, you will have the opportunity to manually pull in an option here. And there's some hidden functionality as well here in terms of like being able to actually match a mix of different pipelines from your app to a singular one in HubSpot and so on, but I won't dwell on it too much. Additionally, for folks who are very, very careful about what kind of data they want to pull in and what they maybe want to leave out from the sync, you have the option not to map some of these stages. So in other words, you could tell the system, look, I do not want anyone in the proposal stage, any deal in a proposal stage to sync into HubSpot. And you can do that by either clearing or removing that mapping. So it's another way to control what data comes in and what doesn't. And we'll always keep that piece of data in front of you in case you ever change your mind and inform you like, hey, this piece is not syncing, it's not mapped, therefore it will not sync. And of course, you can continue to map as many pipelines as you have and as your HubSpot tier allows. So this is the opportunities are limitless. Next, in addition to sort of determining what syncs and what doesn't based off of deal stages, you can also add an additional filter here from the third-party side. We don't currently have a HubSpot filter available, but we think that this is a good sufficient start. So for instance, in addition to saying, hey, I want the deals from the sales pipeline and renewal pipeline of these stages to come in, I can also add yet another filter that might be status equal to whatever is meaningful to you. We will be pulling that directly from your Dynamics fields to give you the flexibility to narrow down your sync. And some of the other fields here, rules here are familiar. One thing I want to draw your attention to is we do have a set of read-only rules. This is really for transparency purposes. We want you to know what is happening with the sync, even though you may not have control over it. So we are not doing automatic duplicate prevention in this first phase of deal sync. So that's something to be aware of if you have deals in both places and you're trying to have them be matched up. And we have some recommendations for what you can do there. We are going to do automatic associations. In other words, if you're syncing contacts and you're syncing companies and deals, you will get those associations free of charge as part of this, which is super exciting because obviously that is what you ultimately want. You want to be able to report in that data. And we, as usual for now, DataSync does not do automatic deletions. I won't say too much about field mappings, that they work very similarly to what you've seen with our other syncs. There's some that come out of the box that we've built for you that are sort of smart mappings. And then there's some you can add in for custom mappings if you have the starter tier and up. Finally, there's a review screen. You get to see exactly what you've done and what you've selected, all your pipelines and stages that you have indicated and mapped, all your additional filters and your mappings. When you're done, you hit sync and save, and boom, there's your deal sync along with all the others. Your sync status kicks in and starts to kind of pull in that data and process it. And that's the word on deal sync. Let me introduce one other upcoming feature, our final one. And I'm really excited about this one as well. So customers needed more insights into what's happening with their data. That is something we heard over and over again. What's happening? Is anything happening? What's syncing? How many? Well, the good news is we are building a feature entitled Sync Health. Sync Health will provide insights into precisely which records are in sync for each particular app, which records have been excluded from the sync. This will often be because those records aren't meeting the customer sync criteria, as well as which records are not syncing or not updating because of errors. And if that's not enough, we will also be passing through the precise error messages, even if the error originated in a third-party app, which I think is pretty awesome. So that hopefully allow customers to self-serve and fix any issues in order to get the sync going again. And as far as timeline for availability, I think we're looking to release in all these things in Q4. And DataSync will be available to all 60 apps immediately. Deal Sync will be available, I think, to something like 12 CRM apps. And let me just do a super quick demo of data health. And yeah, that'll be that.
Can I just say it's pretty awesome. Deal sync coming there. From my pricing days when I was customer support rep there, so many customers were constantly asking, like, when is deal sync arriving? When can we sync our opportunities with our deals and all of that? And just to have it here finally after all this time is just is pretty amazing. And
Yeah,
I
we're
think,
really excited too.
Can't really wait to see what our customers will do with it, basically.
Absolutely. So here's our new tab here for Sync Health. So in this case, it's this app. As I said, you're going to see this for every app, every DataSync app that you've got connected. So you'll see all your objects that are in sync, all the objects that are failing, and the records that are in sync, records that are failing, and records that are excluded from the sync. You can actually drill down and see here all the things that are in sync, deals, whether deals, leads, whatever it is that you're syncing, you're going to see it. And I think what really cool thing about this too is that this is deeply connected into your CRM. So if you need to explore, like, what is this new deal? 25,000, this is my awful naming convention, don't do what I do, but you can actually drill down, go right into your CRM, look at that record and kind of, and see that full loop of data coming in and how it's being updated. Similarly, you can see the failures. For some reason, my prototype doesn't want to work, but trust me when I tell you, you'll be able to see record by record failure and failure reasons, as well as some error messaging, as I had indicated previously. So yeah, we're super excited to get this out to you and give you guys more insights about what's happening with your sync, more control over being able to fix problems, and ultimately more accurate data for you to run your businesses on.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much, Anna. I'm going to, I just want to say again, this is really great stuff, and thank you for sharing it even, and just lifting the veil a little bit. I'm going to, we had data sync. I'm going to head over into automation. Yeah, because these are really amazing updates. So we now basically data sync is on the starter and the free and the starter tier, and then on the on the professional tier you unlock data format actions and custom code actions. So I've invited Emma here and Evan to talk a little bit more about that, what's coming soon and what they have been working on in the past. So yeah, Evan, can you briefly explain what does operations of professional look?
Yeah. So as you know, Ops Hub launched with 2 new additional HubSpot workflow actions, or missions rather. One around data quality, which helps you keep your data clean, and then programmable automation, which unlocks nearly limitless possibilities where you can code your own actions. So for data quality, we rolled out the format data action, which is all about helping you manage and maintain a clean CRM. You can use this action to make sure names in your CRM are capitalized, remove certain characters, and this is great for customer-facing workflows, such as sending an email where you want to make sure names are properly capitalized and that emails look correct. And then the other action is the custom code action, which essentially lets you write JavaScript within a workflow. We found that operations teams really deal with issues and processes that are quite unique to their companies and their industry. And so we wanted to create something that was flexible enough that would allow these teams to solve the challenges themselves without having to work around limitations or hack together workflows and separate apps. So within the custom code action, you can write your own code and run it all within HubSpot. And this really opens up a lot of possibilities.
Yeah, that sounds really amazing. So when it comes to like the custom coded workflow actions, if you're new to this webinar or to the community, we actually did like a bunch of workshops around that, things you could do with this just to kind of inspire you. I'm going to post a link to the recordings here in the chat. And we also are building a use case library filled with like templates and things, yeah, that you can pull inspiration from when you're thinking about creating your own custom coded actions. I'm also going to be posting that link here in the chat real quick. So yeah, in terms of, what's new when it comes to custom code actions or data format actions? What new updates have you been working on in the past couple of months, Evan?
Yeah, so recently I've been personally working on adding the ability to test and debug custom code actions quickly and easily within your workflow. Before, to test your custom code actions, you had to run the workflow, see what data was output within your history, and it was time-consuming, complicated, and really just not super intuitive and easy to use. So I'm happy to show what I have now once I find this screen share button. All right. Yes, share Chrome. All right. So here I have my custom code action demo workflow where we have a custom code action that the idea is that it will format a phone number and give some additional data outputs. So let's see how that works. By going down to this test action section, finding my test contact that I want to demo against, clicking test, agreeing that if I do make changes to the contact, it will be reflected within the CRM. We can see that it formats a phone number. Oh, but it doesn't give me the unchanged phone number that I was hoping for. And it tells me this, that I need to make sure that I'm defining that within my code. Well, that's easy enough. With the magic of copy and paste, I can then click test without even having to save the action. I can then, once it loads, see the output. That's all without saving the action. And that's pretty cool. But if I want to test, say, a different contact, let's see what happens with this contact. Oh no, there was an error. Well, again, quickly and easily, with the magic of having done this earlier and knowing where the error is, I can error check, debug, look at my error logs, click test again. We build a new Lambda on the background. And now I have this working for all my contacts. So this is super powerful and will really allow our users to get out and up and running quickly and easily. So really excited about this. Yeah.
Yeah, as you should. It's really amazing. I actually hadn't seen this testing and debugging in action yet, and I really love the granularity of it and the fact that you can really dig down into really the error messages and all that. It's pretty amazing. So yeah, that's really awesome. And then looking forward, are there any things coming out soon that you maybe can unveil already a little bit?
Yeah, I can pull back the veil a little bit. So we're working on a few things for before the end of the year. First is scheduled triggers. This will allow you to run workflows on predefined intervals. So say you want to use data format or clean up data every Thursday night before you send out your weekly report on Friday morning. Or you want to create a specific task to run on the first of the month for your success team. These actions will make that possible. We also have enhancements to our webhook actions. So another programmable feature where we know right now it's not easy to customize the data you're sending or receiving. So we're going to make updates to that to give you more control over that data. And then lastly, the thing that I'm personally excited about, because I'm currently working on it, is the ability to choose inputs for your custom code action. So right now you have to make an API call to get your data for your enrolled object. This will allow you to select data from not just the enrolled object, but also from actions higher up in the workflow. So similar to how we have for some other actions, such as the copy property, you'll be able to use that functionality within custom code, giving you even more flexibility and power within that action.
All right, that's awesome. Thank you, Evan, for explaining that all there. We are still 50 minutes left, and I want to devote that time to interview one of our customers. We've invited Benjamin Jack here from Eastridge, who is a power user of Operations Hub and has been using, before Operations Hub was even using PySync. So yeah, Benjamin, thank you for joining us. I'm really happy that you're here and that you want to join us here. Before we head into the questions, can you briefly explain what it is that you do and what company that you're working at?
Of course, John, and thanks for having me today. So I'll give a brief overview of Eastridge. We're actually coming up on 50 years of business next year, and we recently transitioned to an employee-owned company with 300 employee owners working to service our clients. In short, we offer talent acquisition and workforce management solutions through Core 5 solutions, which are professional recruiting, volume recruiting, payrolling, MSP, VMS programs, and RPO. Each year, we place approximately 20,000 associates worldwide for our 800 clients, and we're ranked in the top 1% of our providers in the industry. I've been at Eastridge for about 7 years and currently lead marketing and sales operations.
Awesome. So 50 years coming up. That's that's a pretty long time and pretty amazing. And it looks like what you're doing is also overseeing marketing efforts, but also sales operations and aligning those two. That seems like a lot. And from like a technical perspective, what does that mean? Like from the platforms that your teams are working with?
Sure. From a sales and marketing standpoint, we utilize HubSpot, which is relatively new for us for marketing automation. And then we have a legacy CRM, which is Microsoft Dynamics, which tracks all of our sales activities and opportunities. So on a day-to-day basis, HubSpot is essentially stirring up new leads for marketing automation. And then we're kind of funneling them through to our CRM for sales activities to take place and tracking all the way through to opportunities and then syncing with our financial systems. So again, HubSpot is tracking reactivations for clients who might have not used our services for a while, web form leads, and then again, leads that are generated from those marketing campaigns that we're doing. A step further, in the CRM now, what we're doing is having dashboards and reports for actionable items based on what HubSpot is doing for marketing automation for those leads. So having that key integration, you can tell, is pretty critical for our operations.
Yeah, it looks like it. And so Operation Hub is really that missing puzzle piece. So do you mind, showing your setup a little bit of how that all works behind the screens?
Sure. One second here. So essentially, I'm into the Microsoft Dynamics app, and we are only currently syncing leads. In the future, we're going to do accounts, which are companies, and then of course contacts in Dynamics, which similar to contacts in HubSpot, but we use the definition a little bit differently from a sales perspective. So for the field mappings, it's pretty straightforward. When we went in to do this and transition from PieSync, everything that was pretty common was automatically set up for mapping. And then I had to kind of think through some of the limitations, and I'm glad Anna mentioned that the owner field is going to be coming over, because that's one where we're kind of getting a little bit stuck. But I had to work through and create some custom fields to really start to show the sales team what's happening, not only with their prospects in real time, but also with new things that are coming over. So they're able to see, who had the last outreach, who interacted last. Was it a sales piece of material or phone call or email, or was it marketing? So they can kind of go in and set their daily activities based on a lot of these syncs here. It also syncs fields that are necessary for our finance and operations system. So that carries all the way over from HubSpot through Dynamics to those platforms as well.
Oh, that's pretty amazing. That's a lot of custom fields. I'm sure Franz is looking at that with a lot of pride.
And approved.
And approved. Cool. So when it comes down to quantifying what Operations Hub is doing for you, could you put like a number on that, or give us any insights there?
Sure. So we started really pushing marketing automation last year. Up until then, we really didn't have a set game plan for marketing automation, and HubSpot was that platform. So when we launched it, the systems were siloed, and I needed to find some way to kind of bridge the two, which is why I found PieSync, because that was really easy for me to use. Although didn't have as many options, the sync wasn't as quick. I could at least have some communication between the systems. But now we can keep the same sales process, the same marketing automation, and kind of update those legacy fields in the sales CRM with some of the new information coming through from HubSpot. So the week we turned it on, once everything was completed, I think we had somewhere around 5,000 marketing generated leads that we were manually going through and kind of passing off to the sales team. So once the dashboards were set up and the reports were set up, we turned it on. Within that first week, we stirred up 6 new opportunities, which for us, opportunity is pretty lengthy. Our partnerships span almost, some of them 20 years. So stirring up these opportunities is a big deal for us. So again, the week we turned it on, there were 6 opportunities that we were able to uncover.
Yeah, that's really amazing. I'm happy to see that the switch from PieSync to Operations Hub went so well, and that it's performing even better than what it was doing at PieSync. So that's really great to see. Yeah. So maybe my last question for you, and that's we talked a bit about what the future updates for data sync and what's coming to custom code actions. Is there anything that you're really looking forward to, or really want to have on Operations Hub or maybe HubSpot in general?
So I'm excited to dive into deals. That's going to take a little bit more processing because we have a lot more custom fields in CRM. And again, it ties into our financial system. So that's going to take a little bit more road mapping, but I'm excited that the ability to map owners and user management is coming to some degree, because again, that's something that we manually have to do. And then also I know that someone mentioned drop-down mapping. That would be exciting as well, because right now I'm kind of mapping one-offs with just a yes, no. So those two things, but I'm excited about the owners coming in. That's a big piece.
Right, awesome. And I'm sure those are definitely things that are coming up soon. In any case, thank you so much for being here, Benjamin, and joining this webinar. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to join us. We still have a couple of minutes left, and let's devote that to Q&A. So if anyone here has any questions that haven't been answered, because I see that our panelists have been very busy answering a lot of them, feel free to put them in the Q&A. I'm happy to go over them. As we have a bit of a lack of questions, I'm happy to pull some that already have been answered. Maybe not everybody has seen the answer yet. I think Anna, you answered a question by Red. Is there a limit to how many custom fields you can sync?
Yeah, so there was a two-part question, whether there was a limit of objects that can be used in the sync and a limit of fields. So as far as objects are concerned, the limit is only as far as what we are supporting. So as long as we're supporting it, you can sync it. There's no limit. It's available to all free customers. As far as fields, field mappings, as we mentioned at the top of the hour, we include a set of default mappings for each integration. In some cases, that's a pretty big load. In other cases, it's smaller because of technical challenges. But as far as custom mappings are concerned, once you are at the starter tier up, no limits to how many custom mappings you can map up and set up.
All right. And then Emma, I also see that you answered a question here and it just jumped away. Sorry. Can we do any workflow branching logic based on the result of custom code actions?
Yes. So you can use the value equals branch after your custom code action. And then you can specify whether you just want to use whether the custom code succeeded or failed. And then through that, you can trigger Slack notifications or things like that. But then you can also pull from the outputs that you've specified in your custom code. So like for Evan's example, the different outputs, I think he had a couple phone number ones. You can then kind of branch your workflow off of those results.
All right, awesome. And since there are no really other questions left, I'll leave it at that since most of them have been answered anyway. If anybody is interested and still here, who is interested in having a demo of our Operations Hub, I'm putting a link in the chat. We have, of course, salespeople that are very capable of demoing each and every feature that you've seen here today. And if you have any further questions, or if you a couple of hours on the line, if something pops into your head, feel free to put those questions in our discussion community thread in the community. I'll make sure that all our panelists here have access to that and are able to answer that if you can't answer them now, of course. So in any case, thank you everybody here for joining us. I really appreciate all of your time, and also thanks to all of our panelists, and especially Benjamin for taking time out of his probably very busy day for me to ask him some questions about operations. So thank you everybody. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and see you next time. Thanks and bye.
Thank you. Bye.